Tuesday, May 21, 2024, to order. Acting under the provisions of the Code of the Town of Barnstable, SS 112-1 through 112-7. The Historical Commission will hold a public hearing on the following applications. The following applications have been determined to be significant and were referred to a public hearing. This meeting of the Historical Commission is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20, I must inquire whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, to please make their presence known. So, all you videographers. No? Okay.
So much.
We ask that during the afternoon's proceedings, cell phones be turned off and conversations other than those before the commission take place outside this room. When an application is called, please come to the table, right here to my left, and sign in. All interested parties and abutters should also come forward at that time, and all people who wish to speak regarding an application also must sign in. Our first order of business is to take a roll call. And I do know all your names, but I'll just make sure I don't miss anybody. Marilyn Fifield, I know cannot be here. George Jessup. Here. Cheryl Powell, not here yet. Nancy's name is still on here. Jack Kay.
Present, yes.
Barbara DiBiase.
Present.
And Bob Frazee.
Present.
Okay, so we are ready to start. Let's see, did I do everything on here? I think I did, yeah. So our first application is Jody Vargas, 151 Pine Avenue, Hyannis, map 307. And that's built circa 1710. I repeat, 1710. Listed individually on the National Register of Historic Places. And I see Steve Cook signing in for the owner.
Yes, hi. Good afternoon. Steve Cook from Couture Bay Design, representing Jody Vargas, 151 Pine Ave.
State your case.
Okay, so last year there was a fire at this house and a lot of damage. So the owner, Jody, is trying to work through what to do with this property and how much money insurance is going to give her to rebuild it and so forth and things like that. Her brother was living there. He had to move out because of fire damage, and she wants to have the house for him or have it as rental income or for her family, whatever her final outcome is, to help her and her brother out. So that's the end goal of it. So looking at the building, there's a lot of damage, fire damage, of course. So you say, okay, to put this building back together again, you need a, new roof, siding, need to, repair all the fire damage, new electrical, plumbing, HVAC, insulation, windows, doors. There's no alarm systems in the house, so put in alarm systems for fire. There's lead paint in there, so you have to remove the lead paint. The stair to the basement is just like a little hatch. There's a full basement underneath the front part of the house and just a crawl space underneath the rear part. And then the stair to the second floor is the old, it's almost like a ship's ladder type of thing. It goes up a bit and it splits and goes up to each room.
Good morning.
I have photographs on my phone that I can pass around if you want to see it. I'm assuming this construction, because I couldn't see all of it, but it looks like it is the old post and beam with the vertical boards, siding with purlins, that type of construction.
Do you have a close-up look at a window?
No, boarded up, yeah.
No,
There was no power. I had to use a flashlight to walk around. Take
No, one of the
photographs.
details of those vertical boards, because there's no insulation in the wall, the window projects to the exterior. You know what I'm saying, Bob?
Yeah.
These windows were replaced as 20th century replacements, as noted in some of the notes in the inventory form. So they
I'll try to see if I have a picture of a window that was burnt out here.
Usually,
So,
You're wondering if they're like the ones on the library that were manufactured in England and brought over here?
those,
Yeah.
well, the sash was, but the the windows were built to fit, but the wall is about 2.5 inches thick with a solid 1.25 inch plank.
Yeah, I have a picture
vertically.
inside, but, I can pass that around if you want to see. That's what
Yeah.
the window looks like. So, this beams are failing inside, joists, the supports are failing. There's a chimney, you see a chimney leaning, that chimney's failing. It's going to need new flooring, kitchen, baths, the whole 9 yards. So looking at it,
Oh, you can
on a
see it.
cost basis, it's more efficient to
plank.
tear it down, reconstruct a new Cape-style house that, similar in design to what is there, and, meet all current code compliance moving forward. So that's what the Jody Vargas asked me to request of, this commission.
Were there solar panels on one side? I don't know if that was just repair of the fire. Did you overlook that on the ceiling? Not there,
The addition?
back, down even, like the front of the house, I think.
No, as far as I know, there weren't any solar panels on the house, so. So, yeah, this house hadn't been touched in years and years. And, it's tough to go inside, so saying, all right, try to put it back together, and, once you start putting it back together, then you have to bring it up to current building code compliance. So it's a lot of work, a lot of time, and, based on my experience and talking with some of the builders I deal with, it's not cost effective to, go back in that way. I know it is eliminating a historic house, and that's my toss-up, and saying, I've worked on historic homes and saved a bunch, and some I couldn't save because they were so far gone. So,
Is there a lot of water damage?
some, not as much. It's mostly smoke and fire damage. So we're looking through. I can, if you can scroll through some of the pictures here, the interior pictures,
Well, I was just
if you
concerned
wanted
about
to.
the mold issue, and if that's just another problem with the house.
Oh, I think the fire would take care of the mold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to
Yeah.
scroll through,
years
So
you
if
can
the roof burned
scroll
through,
through
or
and
the
look at.
patches on the roof haven't gone, then you
So-
have water intrusion that would start
I don't know what I'm
Yeah,
looking at here.
mold as well.
Yeah, I had my structural engineer look
What
at.
is this that I'm looking at?
That's the roof.
Okay.
Underneath, so.
Well,
Because I had there was no light, and I had to go in with flashlight. So the foundation, there is concrete. At some point, they lifted it and moved it,
Yeah.
but there's stone rubble on the outside, so we can't tell whether there's anchor bolts or anything like that, and what the conditions of the sills were.
Okay.
I'm sure there's some rotted sills in there, too, so.
Hey, you ever gonna make it code compliant? Just for uplift, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's the hard part. I don't know how.
Yes.
You could get, do the exterior jacks or, wow.
You'd have to dig out that stone rubble and,
Yeah.
fit in something with anchor bolts in there and, open up all the walls. It'd be down to the bare frame of the house, and then try to put it back together from there. Excuse me.
Before I open this up to the public, I have something I'd like to read from Marilyn Fifield. That's okay to do so, right? Who couldn't be here today, and she's one of our members of the commission. Her comments are that at 151 Pine Avenue, surely one of the town's oldest homes, certainly at 1715, the town's demolition delay ordinance must be imposed to delay demolition for 18 months or less if mutually agreeable terms are met, as no regulation would be in effect if the Cape Cod Commission does not accept a referral there. Her next statement is that the Cape Cod Commission referral should definitely be voted for, in addition to the delay, which is what she's pushing for. Third is independent professional inspection of the property should be pursued by an expert with experience with similar historic property. And number 4, if we may assume that the property is salvageable, its availability for sale should be advertised with the National Trust for Historic Preservation in order to attract worldwide attention. And she gives a website. So that's from Marilyn Fifield. Open to public hearing, everybody? Yes?
Move we open a public hearing? Oh, we already have one, don't we? We have to close it, but, okay.
All right. So, we'll have the public come up and speak?
Yeah, and any questions from the other members of the board I can answer?
Did you have to pull down, did they pull down insulation in order to
Yeah,
get at the fire?
probably, I assume so, yeah.
So there was some insulation,
Yeah,
but not in the exterior walls.
I didn't,
You did have a picture here of
yeah.
an exterior wall.
Yeah, with the window where the fire.
Where the window is.
Yeah,
And you say that was the vertical planks.
yeah, yeah, that's where the vertical planks are. You see the plywood they put over it, but.
Is there anyone from the public wishing to make comment? Come on up.
You want me to-
No, you can, well,
Should need the mic?
Pull
You
aside.
need the mic?
I mean,
Yeah.
can everybody hear me? I think I'm good.
well, we do need
Oh,
you.
gotcha,
Yeah.
I got you,
So, yeah,
okay.
take that.
Okay.
Slide over.
This was,
Sign in.
yeah, and this was also sent in by my neighbor.
Yep.
I'm not sure, did you receive that?
I did receive it. I was
Okay.
going to make note of it after everyone's made their comments.
Okay, great. My name is Laura Wenzel. I live at 7 Harvard. I live across, that's my house right there in the background. I live directly across from this home. This home has been a nightmare. Not kidding, a nightmare for more than 10 years. It's a drug den. Gary, the brother, who lived there, ran it as an illegal boarding house. I can't tell you how many times the police have been called to address drug problems, 15 people living in the home. It was the most beautiful home when his mom, Nancy, was alive, and unfortunately it turned into an absolute disaster. Since the fire, I can tell you that people squat in the home. People have set tents up in the back. They were living there, still coming by for their drugs, whatnot. To be honest, for me personally, as an abutter of that property, again, my husband and I have lived in a nightmare with this home.
You didn't start the fire.
Oh, God, no. I was home when it happened.
The block
My-
of the street on the fire truck, were you?
My mail delivery person said, I think your neighbor's house is on fire. So personally, we would love to see the house demolished, the sadness of the historical value of the home. It is the oldest home in Hyannis. I believe it was moved there years ago. Was a beautiful home. If you ever walked in that home while Gary lived there with his group of, I don't know what, it would make your skin crawl. So personally, for me, yes, I would like to see that done. My concern is what goes in place of that.
We would look at a Cape-style house.
Cape-style house with him back, or is it going to become a rental property?
It could be a rental.
Could be.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain yet. I
Okay.
don't think that's been determined by Jody yet.
Yeah, okay.
But it'll be a new Cape-style house, similar design to that, you know. That's what
One
that-
family?
Single family. yeah.
Single family, okay. Yeah, I mean, just my personal opinion. I mean, it's, again, sad to see a beautiful house like that be destroyed, but it was destroyed years ago by Gary, by the resident who lived there. And unfortunately, I don't think the family really had a lot to do with the home after his mom passed away, but, so, 7 Harvard Street, right across the street, I'm in favor.
You didn't sign in yet?
Yep, I'm doing that
Yep.
right. Sorry, I have a broken arm.
Other
Anybody else?
member of the
Anyone else here? Yes.
David, yeah, come up.
Okay, I move we close the public hearing?
Oh, no, we have,
Oh, we do have some.
I also have a letter that was submitted too
Absolutely,
that
it's
will be
okay.
read in.
Yeah. there's a-
Just want everyone to speak there. That's here first.
And sign in, right?
Yep. Yes, please.
Okay.
Noise 1710, there's very likely was a vertical beam, vertical plank on a post and beam design, an oversized, like an 8x8 plate, and at least a 6x8 header, wall header, and the vertical planks were the structural vertical element for both the front and rear, and the gable ends as well.
That's what we saw at the Cahoon Museum. That was built in 1782 when we did the work there.
Yeah.
Same construction. Yeah.
The town,
But
the
they
old,
had the original windows.
yeah, the old library on Main Street is a prime example of it.
Form B, if anybody wants to look at
One of
it,
the problems we had with that was shingling
pass
it,
down to the table.
because we had to use hammer and nails rather than a gun. Because if you hit the shingle with a gun and you had a seam in between, it would blow the plaster on the inside away. And that was the original plaster. It is the original plaster. So they just plastered the planks on the inside and shingled the outside.
Would you like to go ahead and
Yes,
make your
sure.
public comment?
If that's okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
So my name is John Richmond. I'm here for the Hyannis Historical Society. This house has a lot of history, obviously, with its age. It was Ora Hinckley's house. And really our questions, with no expertise whatsoever and no claim to expertise, and I gather that you do this. So our concern is if any part of it can be saved as part of a reconstruction. And actually failing that, I'm told that there are companies that will do a demolition but basically salvage the wood because of the historic value of the wood.
Yep.
And so failing rebuilding, that would be our next hope.
Okay.
And hopefully, if anything could be salvaged from it, it's been suggested that perhaps some of it could be used as a fundraiser for the library, which of course, or you have the Ora Hinckley Library connection.
We should mention that Ora Hinckley was the librarian there for 35 years.
Yep, she lived in this house. We found out the Crockers lived there, some Crockers. It was a tavern. So I realize it's a question of practicality. I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh my God, we must absolutely restore it, because that's obviously not practical. But if even the shell could be incorporated into a new building, it would be better than tearing it down. And that's really what I came to say.
Thank you.
Okay?
And I must say,
Thanks.
Steve has done that in the past.
Yeah.
Well, I could tell you're not new to this game.
Thanks.
Okay? Thank you.
Anybody else from the public?
I also did have
your letter.
the letter.
Should be read into the record.
If I will read that into the record. This is from Dr. Mary Ellen Gennaro. She stated, I reside at 19 Harvard Street, directly across the street from 151 Pine Avenue. I would like to offer my support of the plans to demolish and rebuild the property. While it is a shame to lose this historic home and its visible history, the home was lost on the day of the fire. Since then, neighboring property values have plummeted. Since the February 3rd, 2023 fire, the home has been boarded up and left unkempt. Currently, the tarps covering the roof have weathered and torn, often blowing pieces into neighboring yards. Until a few weeks ago, there was debris strewn across the property. There have been squatters at 151 Pine Avenue during the first 6 to 8 months, potentially longer. The owner of the home has tried to do their best to maintain some semblance of order, but are not in the position to be able to regularly mow, clean, or oversee any repair of the home. To deny demolition is to consign the neighborhood to years of looking at a crumbling house and all the woes that such a property carries with it for the residents, their safety, and the value of surrounding properties. We love our neighborhood, the location in our homes, and are very keen to see a home built on the property that honors the character of that which it replaces. Thank you for helping restore pride of ownership and safety to Pine Avenue and Harvard Street by approving this request.
Before we close the public hearing, we have another member of the public who might like to speak. Yes?
Yes, I'm sorry I'm late.
That's
but
okay. You
I
got-
live
you got
on-
here just in time. Just
Yeah.
going to close. Have a seat.
Okay.
This is, Barbara is,
Former member here.
and you were commission chairman, weren't you?
Yes, I was at one time.
State
And
your
I
name, if you would, please, and then
put
sign in.
here.
Yeah.
Okay. And I forgot the papers on it. I suppose they were on the seat of my car, and I was late getting here. Yeah, just like that.
For review or
No, I know. what
referral
it
or,
is.
okay, yeah.
Copy I have. I have been talking to, I'm Barbara Flynn. I have been talking to the one who took over the owners because the owner is ill mentally and physically. He's not well. And his sister in Florida has been in contact with me. And we would all like to preserve the house and have it restored. I think maybe if it was sent to the Cape Cod Commission, that they would give 180 days delay so it wouldn't be destroyed right away. I think it would be a shame not to give a chance to have it restored. And there's a magazine, Preservation, that I get that puts in houses, and maybe somebody in some part of the country would restore it.
And this is coming from the owners of the house,
Yes.
not this gentleman that.
Well,
Are you
no.
Steve?
Yeah, I am, Steve, yeah. She's on the fence. She hasn't decided which way to go.
Yeah.
His sister.
She asked to pursue this avenue first to see if it's viable, because this is the most cost-effective, quickest way to clean up this property.
It
and
is.
to have
It is. It's a shame
but-
it's been in a mess for 2 years.
Right,
They
so
haven't-
then, if this commission deems that this building wants to be saved, then we can look at going in that direction.
I know
That's-
the town has historic money, and they never have, as far as I know, given it to an individual.
Correct.
But they would give it if this house could be used for a purpose, a town purpose, or if the town
Well,
would take it over.
Yeah, if somebody said they're gonna step up and buy it, that could be an option too. So,
Yes.
But we're just pursuing this avenue first to see, get this commission's take on and say, okay, what do we need to do?
Yes.
If the tear down is a deal breaker, then okay, then sends us off another avenue, and then we can pursue that avenue.
There's also other ways of looking at these definite rules that we have and procedures, and we would do an 18-month delay possibly if we did, and after 2 or 3 months, or 8 months or whatever, we've determined that the owners have done everything they could, you can come back and cut back that delay.
Okay.
But it involves advertising it, this is, I think you probably know, Steve, some of this.
Yeah.
But also, something you mentioned is the Cape Cod Commission, and that is something else for our commission, Historical Commission,
forward
to
it.
think about doing. We could do an 18-month delay, and we could also refer it to the Cape Cod Commission.
You could do the 18 months delay here.
Yes, that's what this hearing is about directly. And,
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Doesn't mean it would be forever. We don't we don't try to be punitive, we try to make everyone.
I'd like to see it happen as soon as possible, but it might be difficult to get a way to restore it. It's going to be very expensive to do that. But we have another historic house on the street, and not that this is part of the evening, but the high school would like to also get some Hyannis restoration through the town historic money.
The old high school, yeah.
Yeah. So is it possible to stall this and see if we can get some way to save the house?
Steve can't demand that.
No. It's just up to,
There may be some serious challenges unless you weatherproof the structure to save it for the 18 months.
That's right.
So there's a concern
That's true.
that if you think that waiting is a
We-
benefit without
No, I don't think
weatherproofing
waiting
this,
is a benefit.
but it would also need to be closed up so that it's inaccessible.
They have closed up, as you can see, the windows and doors, and the roof had a hole in it, and that's been closed. And they have cleaned it out. Hi, George.
Hi, Barbara.
So they're working on it, but I would like to see it restored. It was a beautiful house.
Even if it's just the front portion.
Oh, yes.
I think that's what you're talking about, it's just the
That's
front
right,
portion, right?
that's right. And I think if it came into another use, I know of a couple of uses that have been proposed. The
Well, we have-
garage necessarily doesn't have to be saved, or the new part in the back.
And we did have that example on Pleasant Street where we saved, now that was the old, was that the oldest house? It was, the oldest house in Hyannis, and
I don't recall the date, but it was quite an accomplishment at the time.
and we moved it, and it now is owned by the town and is for affordable housing.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, maybe this could be taken over by the town.
Remember that?
A lot to think about.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
I've
Thank
been
you,
thinking
Barbara.
about it for quite a while, but nothing has happened.
Yeah, great, thank you. You did sign in?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
All right, great.
So,
I think we have another member of the public to come back, and you didn't sign in, did you?
I did.
Oh, okay, somebody
You
did.
did.
somebody else is coming up here.
I guess my question
Oh,
would be.
come sit and say your name again.
Oh,
please.
again?
Yeah, we're very formal.
I get you. Laura Wenzel. So is that 18 months from when the fire happened?
No.
So
It
it's
would be from now.
From now.
But
Oh, my God.
it sounds so like, oh my
Well,
God.
yeah, when you've been looking at that for 2
But
years
we-
and dealing with the
There are
element.
many cases where when we know the owner has done due diligence to solve this problem without demolition, or with only a partial demolition, or as somebody was, I think John was saying, use of the lumber, those are all things we would take into consideration at a future meeting, or could take into consideration. But
Which would shorten the amount of the delay.
Yes,
Is
yes.
the end of that thought, so
Yeah.
it's not quite an 18-month sentence.
Yeah.
It
Could-
would- More than likely would
could
be.
be.
It could be.
Yeah.
It's-
The way
it's,
things
you
move, we know
eyes
that.
wide open, it could be.
Yeah, okay. Well, and that's disappointing, but,
No,
Okay.
We had the delay extended from 6 months to 18 months because people were using the 6 months as planning.
gotcha.
And they come in and say, we want to tear it down. We start planning, and 6 months later, we got a green light.
Gotcha.
It really wasn't a deterrent.
And so it wasn't any deterrent at
Okay.
all. And Steve can tell you about that, but as a builder. But the 18-month delay is giving people thought.
Gotcha. Okay.
They now have take pause to consider alternatives.
And it
And
gives us
the-
time to go in, like, I think if something does happen in that angle, you and I would like to go in, I would like to take pictures, so that we have a record for the town.
Yep.
Yeah.
Been sort of biting my tongue, but not very successfully.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to barge in earlier, but I saw the letter that was submitted for public comment that came to each of us by email prior to the meeting, and I appreciate your comments, and I feel desperately unhappy for the neighborhood, knowing what this kind of situation and scenario can feel like and be like for families and kids and life and values. My son lives in St. Pete, Florida, and he lives in a wonderful historic neighborhood, but it isn't always wonderful and it isn't always terrific, and he has drug deals going on around the neighborhood and buildings going up and down the scale of, survival and renovation or loss, and they're doing fine with it, but I have firsthand knowledge of what it's like. I'm not sure, and I've thought about this a lot in the last couple of days, I'm not sure that it's the Historical Commission's role, purview, privilege, if you will, to make decisions that probably are more appropriate for matters of law enforcement, Board of Health, or the building commissioner, if they're matters of safety, building safety, public health hazard, those kinds of things. We can all have opinions about it, but it probably isn't where we come from on this, and I don't want anybody to think if we don't say it out loud, we're not thinking about it a little bit, because it may be very much a real part of what you guys are dealing with. This is probably one of the most significant historic buildings in the town in a lot of ways. And I thought that the letter that was written for public comment was well phrased, and that it sort of termed the loss having occurred at the time of the fire, not so much if it's demolished. And yet, with some knowledge of historic buildings, I know there could still be a lot of the structure there that's unique to that building that survives the fire, even some interior detail. Perhaps it's smoke damaged, but some of it's not charred or destroyed. And so some of the scenarios that were being described of a partial restoration or a partial reuse of the structure or last resort reuse and availability of some of the unique building materials which occurred or were created or grew on the land so many years ago, they're of a much higher quality than anything that can be found or bought or used today, that they're often used in restoring other old buildings that still have some life in them. And it's all sorts of different steps of value to this, which is one of the reasons I think a delay probably will make sense. With
Okay.
apologies,
Yep,
in my
no.
opinion. Just me, one on all of you, but I will probably vote for that. I also want to ask out loud the rest of the commission, is there a value in referring something like this to the Cape Cod Commission? Because I would be skeptical of doing that. That's normally something I think is reserved for an owner who kind of really wants to off a building and there's no other alternative, and it is listed on the National Register and we could go there. I don't think it provides a funding
No,
alternative.
Marilyn is the one who suggested that.
I know that,
Yeah.
but she didn't give a specific reason, and it's just my impression that that's usually a step that's taken to even go beyond the 18-month delay process if we feel it's warranted, as in Julia's house twice over the years, many years ago. I think that's one
Yeah,
of the relatively rare occasions when this commission's referred one to the commission.
Well,
A lot of thoughts.
yeah, George.
When it comes to the funding, it's not easy to get. It takes a long time, and by the time you get it, the prices of the work have gone up so much you can't afford to do it. That was my problem with the library. We wanted to repair the chimney. We didn't have any funding for it when we got around to it. We wanted to do a number of things. The original prices were to restore the windows. We couldn't do that. There wasn't any funding for restoring the windows. The price was 5 times what we were allowed or what had been budgeted. But as we mentioned earlier, the construction materials, for instance, those planks, the vertical planks, they're this wide.
Yeah.
You can't buy planks this wide. You fabricate them, but you can't buy them. And I've used
You know, even
old lumber
as-
on Nantucket a number of times to restore the old buildings. Just the sidewalls in that building alone would be worth the price of the building today.
You know how Protect Our Past has done a film now on obviously trying to save historic homes as you can, but also to save the lumber in particular. And I mean,
Yes.
even I have on my old house, when we put on some new shingles, they were gone in 15 years, and the ones that had been there were there for 100 years. I mean, it was a different different
I
way
keep
of-
telling people
Yeah.
on the Old Kings Highway, they come in, they want to replace all the windows with plastic. A 10-year warranty. The windows that are in there have been there for 100 years. And what they really need is to spend a third of the money and refurbish the windows and save the sash, the storm sash, to protect the windows for another 100 years. It's a one-time thing, but the plastic windows are only good as long as the warranty lasts. But this building, the windows have been replaced, so they're not worth anything.
That's true.
What is worth something is what's between the shingles and the plaster. That's worth it, the weight of the house, that's worth refurbishing for other use. The interior details of the house are at 1,700. They may or may not be reusable. They're probably not if they're heavily smoke damaged. They're probably not if they're lead paint, which they are.
It's one thing we sort of need to go look at the evidence,
It would also be
Yeah.
important to be
which a
able
delay would help us
It
do.
would be important to be able to document the building
Yes.
in some fashion. You've done this, George, you've done this in the past with just some photo documentation opportunities, even when you know a building will be demolished, or maybe especially then, it's the last chance to record it for posterity and put it in a file. And I think that kind of thing for the town archives is useful. So,
Well,
anyway.
in order to
Now, one other
replace
thing,
the
should
building.
we, as they say, bifurcate, right?
Yeah.
this, should you, and decide that you can do two different hearings, one for the old 1715 structure and one for the other part, in fact, do that one first, and we probably would give you permission to do that separately, but in your case, I don't see why it would be a benefit to you. You either want to tear it all down. I mean, it's up
Correct,
to you.
yeah, because that rear part's failing also, everything's substandard, we got a failing chimney on it that could topple over in a hurricane or a high wind, so, yeah.
It would add to your security woes there, too, to start tearing part of the building off it, I
It's a
think.
tougher one than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be hard, I could tell.
I think any brickwork you have is unusual in the future. It's a single width chimney, which means the inside of the chimney is dust. You start taking it down, it'll fall down. All you have to do is take the top off and it just falls down. Because what they burned in it has eaten the whole inside of the chimney away.
So before you close the hearing, so if this commission decides to go ahead and do the 18-month demo delay and everything, then I would need to come back with a proposal to restore the building, correct? Or
And/or, I guess, evidence that you have advertised it, that you have, and Eric is the best for telling you what you would need to do, right?
Yep, you could advertise for, like Marilyn had suggested, to see if somebody would be willing to either take over the house and restore it, or any proposal that would potentially, as John had suggested, maybe even just save parts of the home, or save certain parts of the lumber to help rebuild the new home.
So whatever, I'd have to
so
come back to the commission and say, okay, here's what we're going to plan to do. Say, hey, we're going to dismantle, but we're going to save the parts, and we're going to sell it to whatever
And
group,
then we
yeah.
can decide to end the delay.
Okay.
And grant permission to do the proposed
Now,
alternative. That's right.
if Jody Vargas decides, say, okay, you put the delay on, and we're going to restore the building, then I come back to you guys with a plan to restore the building.
Yes.
To the building department. Yeah, no, you have to come to us first,
Yeah.
yeah,
referred
right,
to,
'cause
Yeah, say,
It-
here's
we have to
it'll-
end
Proposal, okay.
that.
Either
delay.
way, it is a new application because they are voting on what the demolition proposed is today.
Correct,
So it'd
yeah.
still be a new application, and this delay will still be, if they decide to impose a delay, it would still be imposed, but say you came back with a new plan to either restore or to reuse, or that you've exhausted all your options, and you can only move forward with a full demolition, they may then choose to go ahead and not impose a delay.
And, yeah, because that, say, if Miss Jody says, yeah, okay, let's go ahead and restore the building, maybe do the front, and the rear part, I don't want to save that, let's tear that off, we save the original building. That might be an option.
Yeah.
That might be amenable to this commission?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a part of this building that's newer than the building? Are there additions to this building?
Well, on the rear, I'm
Yeah,
not
the yellow.
sure what the age of the rear addition is.
It's the usual
Thanks, Erica, that's
telescoping
perfect.
out.
Yeah, I
Quite
can
a
see
lot.
it.
There's quite a lot going out the back.
Yeah, but is it, I guess my question is,
Get the other
is the
picture on the
original
other side there?
structure just the front of the house?
Right, so you can see, I don't know, the original part was built in 1700. I have no idea when the rear part was built. Could be from the 1800s or early.
There's no
1900s.
record of the move that we're
No.
aware of. The
It's
date
a-
of the
No, I
move is
haven't
not
looked
noted on
that
the
hard.
information on the
It's a-
Form B. It's just been
They
unknown.
moved it with a wing on it.
I agree with you. They might have removed the wing and moved a part of it if it was old enough. They did that with Camet House in Osterville, for example.
Yeah,
But they did it with a sense of purpose, and it was difficult and it was expensive. I think it's much, much more likely that the principal cottage, the cape, traditional cape in the front,
Well,
is the building we're really talking about.
Yeah, I'm trying to see, I don't have photographs
Yeah,
of it.
and I would imagine the other is another house that was brought to the site and attached to it,
Could even be.
Yeah.
The roof, the ridge heights are different.
Yeah, that's right.
which is not
And
unusual.
the original has a lower profile.
Right.
Oh, the original one is lower? No.
Yeah,
No, the
higher.
original house is taller.
Yeah.
And there's a dormer, that dormer could have been added in any time in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
Because I doubt the original house had a dormer on it, so.
No, I wouldn't have.
I doubt it very much.
Those would have been bedrooms for the
That would
children.
have been real odd to have a dormer at 1,700.
I wouldn't put grandmother upstairs on the second floor. She wouldn't
I
have
had
had a good
to- I had
time
to-
going up those stairs.
I had to crawl up those stairs.
Preparing for the hearing, I went and did a slightly deeper dive, and I went to the National Register listing, not just the State Historic Preservation listing, and found the correspondence between the Preservation Department here in Barnstable and the National Park Service, essentially negotiating, recommending, and revising their recommendations for the listing, which was accepted. It was accepted under criterion C, which is for the architectural rarity of the structure as a Georgian building and an early building in Hyannis. And not specifically about the association with Mrs. Hinckley, which wasn't disregarding that, it was just thinking that was a more local matter and that the other was of a national stature. And I think, again, that's why we need to pay some attention to this and be very careful. So,
Do we know what the zoning is? On this property?
Our B zone, I believe it is.
What does that mean?
Isn't it,
Residential B.
Barbara, it's residential, right? Yeah.
That's not on this document. This
on
one.
on the inventory form, it very often.
I'll tell you what it is. It's,
And it's an omission that sometimes.
it's our B zone, residential B.
It refers to this as a Georgian style. We don't call them Georgians, they're federal because of King George. He was persona non grata at the time.
Motion, anybody?
Technically, federal's a little later than.
Point of order, we do need to close the public hearing
we have to
before
close
we
it,
move
yes.
into
What is
motions.
it, 17?
Anybody want to make a
17?
motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Seems to be unanimous. Okay, now a motion to determine that we should have a delay or not to have a delay.
I think we want to see what happens.
More than you would think.
One of the things I'd like to see when it's brought back before us, if it's for reuse of the building materials, that we have a contractor on record to do just that, recycle. We ought to know who the recycling contractor is as part of the application to demolish and recycle.
That's reasonable. Yeah, other than.
Again,
just
Steve
having
has
any
been,
wishful thinking.
Yeah, right.
And
No,
good
it's
to work
easy
with
enough.
over the years, really. You,
Oh,
I
thank
know
you.
you do care about making beautiful new homes for people and also for restoring homes, which is nice to see.
Yeah,
Again, a motion,
You want to continue this? Is there a reason to continue this instead of just voting on it right now and putting a knife into this?
I don't,
Reason to
I
continue
would
it.
certainly not mind doing that if it works well for the applicant. I don't know.
Well, it gives him an opportunity to share this with,
Yeah.
So could I poll the board and just see what your,
Well,
you know,
if we
your
were-
flavor is, and then I can ask for continuance?
can we do that? I don't think
You
so.
can't do that? Okay,
Why not?
all right.
It's a good question, but.
Yeah, no, I've done that before at other boards.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, we could ask for continuance. I can come back, you know, in a month from now, or, you know, 2 months from now, and, you know, I could talk to Jody and say, okay, this is the discussion, you know, where do you want to proceed from here? And
could you ask her in the meantime if we could come in and take some pictures too? Just, or it could be after the decision.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
that's
we could do
better.
it. We can
Yeah.
make time for that.
Yeah.
I don't see that as a problem, so. Yeah, you can, what's your,
My only
Next.
other thought is on behalf of the neighborhood, it would be nice to move this as
Yeah,
expeditiously
true.
forward to whatever conclusion it's going to have as possible.
well,
I don't know what that's apt to mean.
Right,
It's a
right.
complicated equation, I know that.
well, the 18-month delay just means that, you know,
Yeah,
I
that's-
can't do anything with it for 18 months, and I wouldn't be able to get a building permit regardless whether you put a delay on it or not, because there's no plans for anything
Right.
right now.
No, I
So,
understand that.
If we were to continue it for a month, because our next meeting is a month away.
It is.
That should give you some time to make contact with the owner, to see how they react to our
Discussion.
discussion so far,
Yep.
and come back to us. And if you need more than a month, you can contact our secretary and ask for another month. But
Sure.
initially, in order to see how fast we can get it resolved, a 1-month
Continuance.
continuance would be
And
more than...
Steve would have to ask that of the town, right?
Right.
We wouldn't do that. Steve has to ask for continuance.
So basically, a continuance can go either way. An applicant can ask for a continuance to speak with the homeowner to try to get another avenue of which they might want to proceed, or the commission can ask for a continuance as well if they feel as if they don't have enough information to make a determination.
I'm fine asking for a continuation to give me a little more time to, based on our discussion, because this is a good discussion. I kind of know everybody's point
Yeah.
and, opinions, so it was helpful to me, yeah, so, okay. When's the
I
what's the
think
next
that's the most
meeting?
expeditious way to do this.
Our next meeting,
Tuesday, the
I don't-
18th?
June 18th,
Tuesday, June
It's the
18th at
Okay.
3 p.m.
yeah.
Okay,
and we might be mildly exhausted by that one after our workshop, but we'll be good.
okay. Yeah, I request a continuance to June 18th at 3
We don't
p.m.
have to vote on that. He can just do that.
You will make a motion and vote. Yep.
I move that we accept the applicant's request for continuance to June 18th to further discuss this application.
I'll second that.
Barbara? Okay.
All those in
We have
favor?
all those in favor? Yeah.
Yeah, because we have a visual, all those in favor works. We don't have to do a roll call.
You can do it in all those in favor.
So we are all in agreement.
Great, thank you,
Steve.
nice to see everybody. Good discussion.
And thank you, everyone who came. I think you gave us some interesting insight.
Yeah, I mean, again, the house is beautiful, but
This may result in something that,
I did notice in here that the condition of the survey time was excellent.
yeah. And again, we're not trying to be
Which is too
punitive.
bad.
no, absolutely not. Absolutely. I appreciate it. It was good discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good, yeah.
Thank you, have a good afternoon.
Hi, Barbara. And it's not, I'm talking about,
Right.
not you, bye.
No, I know. I just needed a tissue. I think that was a
Okay,
good
we have
alternative.
our next
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
hearing is Lawrence and Elizabeth Sullivan. She's the treasurer at 91 Craigville Beach Road, Hyannis, map 267, parcel 115, built in 1820. They are looking for a full demolition of the existing principal dwelling.
You got that
sign it.
correction, it's 1920, right?
What did I say?
You said 1820.
Oh,
It's okay, it kind of makes a difference. Just
1920.
going there.
1920 something. Yeah, I'm saying, boy, it's not that old.
1820, wow, 1920.
My wife's not here, taking care of my special
One of
needs.
those waterfront mansions? No.
So, there's no pictures? This poor little house was my grandparents' house, and
Can you see?
it's in pretty tough shape inside. My kids would not go in this house probably for at least 5 years because of the black mold. It's pretty tough shape. Never really had heat, and when I acquired it back from the family, this is where it ended up right here. So it basically, there's no sills left in the back because they just kept adding to the house. There's really, the record's kind of hard to find.
Hanging on to the original house.
Well, it's
Kind of physically
funny.
hanging
It's
on.
funny because I did try to get the records of it, but it ended up disappearing, and I did pull the folder, and then it went out for the micro, and then I never could get the original stuff again. But there really wasn't that much in the folder. But I did have the folder before they sent all that stuff out to micro to look and see if I could figure out what pieces of the house were which, you know? But I think the middle of the house was the original. And then if you look, they added.
Can you go
boom,
up
boom,
to
boom.
a part of the house that we could see where you mean original?
Yeah, if you keep going, it would be the kind of the middle, the side shot. Let's see, you can see the peak, well, not even that peak. It would be this piece right here,
With the door?
this piece.
Wow.
It was small.
There
It
was
a
two
small cottage.
chimneys there, there was a chimney on the side. There's only a little Cape Cod basement, and the rest is just all sand. But there's termites and ants.
Maybe rats.
Carpenter ants?
There's not rats, but there are mice that like the place, you know? It seems like by the time you get done, I want to put a new foundation in it.
What are your
And,
plans?
To put a new foundation, and now I'll probably have to bring the foundation up to the code of another foot higher.
But you're going to do a new foundation for a new house?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
There you go.
You're even going to put it in the same spot?
This is a little bit of an issue right now. If I demo the house, it can be moved a little bit because I had the engineers just move it a little bit out of the wetlands and towards the front, but not much. It's the same footprint. If I don't demo it, then I can kind of do a little bit, I have a little bit more leeway, put it that way.
Yeah.
To maybe make it a little bit wider. You know, so that all came to me after I filed the permit, you know? But basically, it's still the same house no matter what I do. I didn't think it looked that bad. I thought it's only on one story. I did the whole septic over. I've already done the septic, you know, under goodwill or good faith or whatever, and that's done. You know, so I'm kind of been plucking along, but it's.
I almost wonder if you also will want another continuance to figure out whether you really want to pursue this or not.
Pursue what now, the
Full
tear down on
demolition.
the other?
Yeah, tear down the whole thing, or you could separate it into two different, I don't know, I don't,
I think that
I
you're
think
better
you're-
off just, well,
I'd be very
leaving up,
careful.
I think what I came to this meeting saying, well, if this house gets torn down, if you said like, okay, there's no value to this house historically, then maybe whatever wall I keep up, I think, I asked the building inspector what wall I could keep up, or what I could leave with the house to do that type of work.
that's more the building
Yeah,
department.
that's a building
Correct.
department thing
Correct.
where it's an
Correct.
existing
We
footprint.
met with him a
existing
couple of weeks
structure.
ago, and, you know, that's why I brought it up. I probably should have said I'm totally tearing it down, but, you know,
Well, this motion is to demolish the existing principal dwelling.
correct,
So-
correct.
Yeah, and that's the problem. You want to know, one, if the full demolition is going to prohibit reconstruction. It has happened.
Yeah.
You want to know what the percentage of retention has to be. And you may be limited.
Correct.
You may be required to retain 25% of the original structure today. A month from now, it may change.
Correct.
Or a year from now, you may be able to tear down that part that you saved and put on a new addition there. What you need is somebody to plan the demolition and reconstruction.
I have all the plans right here to
But
demo
whether
it,
you
so-
have an architect working with you to do this, or a lawyer, or whoever, you need somebody that'll work out a plan that can be presented to the town that we know is going to keep you in the property, as opposed to turning it into a park, okay? And this can be critical. You could lose the whole value of the property by not having a good plan of legal acceptance. Now, you've put money into the foundation, into the septic system. You've put some time and effort into what you have for existing construction. You need a plan for the demolition that you want to do that is acceptable to the town and is acceptable for continued use of the property, so that you're not abandoning the property, you're not discontinuing use of the property. I think you need to to find out where you stand with the town, with the building department, I'd get a lawyer to do it.
So you're saying that right now, if I said I'm going to demo it, we could go through with the meeting?
Yeah, we could
If-
offer demolition, sure, we'll let you demolish it, and then you go to the building department, and they say, well,
You can't build.
you can't build anything else on the property. I'll tell you a piece of property you should look at.
He said if I build the property, if I do demo it, I got to stay with the footprint. I can't do anything else on the property. I know that, because I had a meeting with him the other day.
Well, he may be absolutely right, he may be almost right.
Did you say you had a wetland part of the
Yeah.
property?
That's already been through engineering. The foundation's all staked.
Yeah,
That's a new foundation staked out there.
And approved.
And it's only moved, yes, and it's approved. They went through all conservation, they did the whole 9 yards. So basically, I'm figuring if I know all your departments are separated. So
You've had,
I'm kind of looking to see if I demo the place,
you may or
is
may
it
not
a yea
be
and nay that
allowed
it's
to build.
historic? I guess that's my question to you
So,
guys.
could
Is there
I-
anything
And you're
historic with this
definitely
house?
going to be.
Is there anything
You're
historic?
going to be limited as to a time reference.
I know
as to
all
how
that
fast you
part. I
build
got
it.
6 months to make a change if I don't demo it, because right now there's a demo permit in process.
Yeah, but it doesn't. You can
So
usually
then,
track
but
that
you
at
guys
any point.
flagged me, so
can
does
pull that
this
demolition
house,
back.
does this house have any value of historic? That's my bottom question right now.
Probably not.
If
No.
we were to vote to permit your full demolition, you would not be required to fully demolish it, but you would be able to. That's just my opinion, but I
That's
think
what I'm
that's
saying.
accurate.
Right.
And to me, that gives you the most wiggle room to do whatever
Whatever,
you want
exactly.
/
I
decide
think
you
that I'm
need
making a
to
pretty
do.
good house there that will look better than what it
You're one of
is.
the weird ones who's asking, don't vote for demolition. I was like, okay.
No, we're encountering some beautiful flexibility today, which I.
It's a tough
I'm grateful
house.
for.
I mean, it's not in that great a shape, you know?
Well, we could offer you a partial demolition, and then you decide what part's going to be demolished.
I know.
But basically, I think what you need is, you need a lawyer, because you're treading on some thin ground in a couple of areas. You have your approvals, but you have to get the whole list of approvals.
Well, I need to
And-
redraw the plans again if
You
I.
may have to.
If the house is completely demoed, or if I have to leave up a couple walls.
Yep.
If you have to leave up a couple of walls, you have to leave a couple of walls today.
Again,
That doesn't mean you have to leave them
might
up
be
for
what
the
you
life
should
of the
do.
house.
None-
That also changes a lot of things, though. A partial demolition can be right down to only one wall with the electric meter.
That's true.
But then you're running into some code issues. If the whole
Place
house
is
is gone.
already shut down. The
gonna-
water's shut down, the sewer's shut down, the electrical's shut down, the gas is cut off.
Yeah.
It's ready to go, whatever I do.
Smart.
So I just don't want to have to
For
come
your
back
tax.
here again.
Yeah.
Because I think that the
He
house
doesn't like us.
needs to be,
Yeah.
it needs to be, it needs to go somewhere. So,
Well,
I mean, I had to come in here with A or B plan then? Is that what you're saying?
I know, no, well, what I'm saying is, you need to be sure of your legal rights are continued.
I think
I can show
everyone's
you-
in
I can
favor
tell you there's
of
a
what
piece of
you
property in
propose to
Austin.
do. We want to make sure you do it in a
It's in
way that
my-
works for
Yeah,
you.
we
Right,
don't
right.
want to do you a
Situation.
disservice one way or the other.
Well, I know,
That's really
I do
the
totally
idea.
understand that if you don't completely demolish the house, you can actually do more by leaving a couple walls up.
Well, maybe.
Which, that's a building department issue, not a,
Correct,
but just
correct,
to be clear,
correct.
it's not a
But
historical commission
Either
issue.
way, it's like,
But
if
I
I was
believe that may
to,
be true.
if I go and say, okay, I'm gonna change the permit from a total demo to keeping a little bit of the house and do a
partial.
partial, right?
I don't believe you would be referred back to us. I
Okay.
believe that would be a
Okay, that's what I'm
negotiation you
getting
would
at.
have
I
with the
just
building
don't think
department.
that, I mean, I love you guys, but I don't.
No, that's all right.
I have a historic house in
Enjoy
Hingham
the
too, and I know exactly what it's all about, you know?
Yeah, okay.
Well, part of our historic is preservation of neighborhoods as
Yes.
well as houses.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
And we like to see neighborhoods preserved in scale. What I don't like to see is some of the stuff we've seen on the North Shore, where one builder gets in there and puts up a McMansion because people want to move out of Lexington and bring everything they've ever owned with them.
Right,
And
right.
build space for the grandchildren to visit when they could get to know the guy that owns the motel up the street. You know?
Careful, your soapbox is showing. Not that I don't share
I was
it.
just looking for the stump.
Erica,
Whatever.
maybe state what his options are? Withdraw?
I'm in agreement with Bob to pull. It seems like he would like to go forward with the full demolition, and then if that is granted by this commission, if he were to do a partial demolition, he was already approved for a full, so that would not need to come back to us.
I think it just covers the bases for you
I
in the
think it
most
does.
expeditious way and leaves you free to do your conversations with building and anybody else that you have to.
Correct. I made
Get where you need to
I
go.
made a special meeting with them the other day, but it goes back to those funny files that like disappeared because
'Cause you
they
were
all
looking at 'em.
disappeared in the micro, and then when they came back, I expedited them all, and then not everything was there. You know, it was like I went with a buddy too, and we were going, well, half the stuff in the folders disappeared, but the building inspector said that there's a lot of loose stuff, and they need someone to volunteer to find a lot of loose stuff, so there must be a big pile someplace.
Another subject, though.
But I was kind of more interested in like the stuff that was done in the house a long time ago, you know? So I kind of thought it was pretty cool, but now it's,
So they don't
In a
even-
pile.
They don't have your building permit record from the years past and stuff
Correct.
like that. I see what you're saying.
Correct.
The building department only goes back so far. We did
That's
have,
right.
a firm that came in to scan in a lot of our paper records.
Yep.
Previously, yeah. But I do know that obviously through that process, it only goes back so far.
Which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice that
that's
it's
a bungalow, though. You
But
call that a bungalow, right?
a cottage.
Cape Cod bungalow or just
I tend to think of a bungalow as
Not really
having a few
bungalow.
architectural elements that are, well, sort of 1920s craftsman-style bungalow has a few elements that scream bungalow.
Yeah.
But it's a term that's used loosely, and sure, a small, informal summer cottage kind of thing you could call a bungalow.
So the bungalow might have been that one, this one that they built a brand-new house when you get off of exit 5, the old 5 or whatever, and then you come around the rotary and you come in this way, there's a new house, and then there's a little small house that they kind of exposed. I'd call that one a bungalow.
Exit 5, 149?
Exit 5, I'm trying to think of
Near
where
near
you
the
are.
Rod and Gun Club, just a little bit further down,
Oh.
once you bang the right there.
Well, we have
There's a
another-
brand-new
that's another
house, and then there's
subject
a
we're gonna
nice
come
house
up
that they
with.
exposed. that
But we
Really,
should
it's pretty, and I don't,
entertain a motion, because we have another.
Yeah, most bungalows have
Public
greater
comment
overhang.
which I
Oh.
don't believe we
Oh,
have
do
any
we have any
public
public comment?
It's a typical style. is-
No
all I
public
got was
comment.
from the neighbors, they said, good luck if you need my support. There's an abutting neighbor that's been looking at it for a long time. I mean, it looks, she's a little
We need to
sagging.
have a motion to end the hearing first.
Yep, motion to
No.
close the public hearing.
Close the public
I
hearing.
move we close the public hearing.
Oh,
Second.
yeah, good for you.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, so we need a motion for action, one way or the other?
I move that we grant a full demolition for the property at 91 Craigsville Beach Road, Hyannis, map 267, parcel 115, built 1920, owned by Lawrence and Elizabeth Sullivan Trust.
She's the treasurer. Yeah,
Wife,
Okay.
treasurer,
at,
secretary.
at 91 Craigville.
Yeah, well, I started with the address and put the name on at the end.
Okay,
I second the motion,
all right,
if we're at that point.
Yes,
What do
we
we-
have a motion made and seconded
for a full demolition.
for full demolition,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, should I do a
All those in
person by
favor?
person on this or not, because it's a full demolition?
Well,
Can't hurt,
I'm good.
right? Okay, Jack,
I approve it.
George,
I do.
Bob,
I approve.
Barbara,
Yes.
Nancy Shoemaker, I agree. So,
Thank you. Keep all the bushes, I'll keep all the nice-looking stuff.
Yeah, tear the house
That
down, leave all the
foundation.
bushes
There's a
around.
nice, the foundation's in tough shape, though, that's what it
The
is.
new
The
foundation?
back, there's only a Cape Cod foundation, and the rest is kind of cinder block, and the back section is just sitting on dirt That's why I was looking for the records to
We're
see
gonna let
who
you
did
deal
the
with
back
that.
section that did put it on dirt, you know?
Well, if it was 8-inch
We
brick,
went
you
off script,
could
are we
do
all right
that.
as far as you're concerned?
okay.
If you drive by there, take a peek at the fence that's out front though, because it came from a really old house that was in Hingham, and they had passed away, but it was in the basement.
Okay, I
It
guess
had
we're
to
a
be in the
little
basement.
informal today.
It's a gorgeous,
It's a really
Interesting
good
old
wrought
fence.
iron
Not reading
fence.
these.
It's
oh,
cool.
neat.
I brought it down and stuck it out
checking
front.
on
Yeah, that's
Oh,
okay.
Mark
That's
said
the
no,
only
look
really
at it.
old
Yeah.
thing that's out front. It is pretty cool.
We should move on because we have one more applicant
Hearing here.
who's waiting patiently.
You're good to go.
Yeah,
I'm not a good political guy, but I tried.
you did okay.
Did fine.
Yeah.
Good luck with your
Okay,
project.
thank you.
Whatever you end up
I'll
doing.
make it look good. You saw the pictures. It's,
Make
I
sure
mean-
you're covered.
oh, I am.
I'm concerned about getting all the ducks in a row, because
I am.
once you tear it down,
I guess I have to get stuff in writing when,
I go
Say
by
I can
that,
do other
I go by
things.
that
You
lot
signed.
that's on the
They did.
corner in Osterville.
And we have this is Jeffrey Denard.
What's the crossroad? I drive Spragueville Beach Road all the time, and I don't know where you are.
I'm Peter Pametti.
it's a cut.
Peter.
Pametti,
It's where?
architectural
Yeah.
engineer.
It's from
You've
what
been
we all
here.
think of as Craigville Beach
I
Road.
think I was
Scudder
looking at my
Avenue.
records, I've actually,
Oh,
at
okay.
25, I've been in
It's
in front of
it's
you
the
25
extension of
times
Craigville
and
Beach
to
Road,
it.
technically, but it doesn't feel like it if
backs
you're
up
driving.
You know the
Towards the
drill.
golf.
I know the
Yeah.
drill very well.
Very secluded there. It's
We need to move on,
This is my
guys.
first one asking
Today
for a
very slowly.
demolition.
Sorry to make you wait too long.
Diligence
That's
goes
all
on.
right.
Peak, it needs a little TLC.
Well,
Okay,
I kind of anticipated that.
I love it. I love it. I'm keeping it in the family.
we have now
Good luck with it.
another home up for full demolition to demolish the existing principal dwelling. And
Is
the
this my
homeowner
address
is,
in here? This is my address or the address
yes,
of the property?
oh,
The applicant's address, go ahead,
Yep.
and if you want to put in for.
Jeffrey DiNardo and Maria, is it
Apps.
Apps?
Yeah,
55 Papaneset Road, Katuitt, map 035, parcel 002, built 1942.
1942.
Not 17 or 16, 1942.
You're a nice building in the middle of the war, were there?
No, I was built close to 41.
Okay,
Okay.
so give us your case.
I am Peter Pametti from Architectural Innovations. You know, I mean, I guess our piece is that the house really has no historic character to it or significance. As I was mentioning before, I've actually been in front of this commission, just in for Katuitt 25 times, all
Wow.
all
I didn't
for,
realize it was that many?
yeah,
That could be a record.
all the way down Main Street and all the other streets, and all of them were for renovation, restorations, additions.
Yeah.
This house, I'm representing the DiNardos, who actually own one, but have owned two of the houses that I went in front of this commission for to restore. This house really has no, as you can see, historic significance, as I can see. It's hasn't been kept in good shape. It was almost kind of like a series of apartments. It's set up for like 5 or 6 bedrooms, even though it's a 3-bedroom house by the town. And that's it, really. I mean, I just think that I've gone out of my way to protect a lot of houses in Katuitt, and I don't think this is one that needs to be protected.
Their plans are,
I've actually designed a house. It's going to be a 2,700 square foot kind of cottage-style house with a detached garage, two-car detached garage, and a cottage, kind of in a cottage style as well.
Cottage style is hard to do because of the overhangs.
What's that?
A cottage style is kind of hard to do because of the
Yeah,
overhangs.
it's a pseudo cottage in the
Yeah.
sense that we're not going to have the exposed rafter tails, but it's going to have a nice big overhang
I
and
had to
big
do
front
that on-
porch,
on
and
Nantucket, yeah.
going to put the house more in the center of the lot. Right now, it's
Yeah.
actually,
that's a garage or tool shed?
that's like, there's a garage, and then there's actually a separate little shed.
And you have only asked to demolish the principal dwelling.
I really want everything.
But can they change that now or not?
He'll back
You
into
can
that.
agree to
moving
modify
around
the
building.
application to demolish the accessory
Have to
dwelling as
modify the
well.
application.
The bulldozer made a wide circle.
Let me turn it around. What was that?
Yeah.
I have one question, and
Yes.
it's maybe a little off the wall, but the shot of the rearmost building with the forsythia next to it that was a little earlier in the presentation.
Tell me when to stop.
I will, keep going.
Ah,
Well, there would
Yeah.
work. And there's one other shot of it, too, that shows a little more openness to it. Nancy and I were talking about that one picture, and we wondered just aloud to ourselves, noting the evolution of, there we go, that's the shot I really liked. The evolution of the thing, sort of like a step-by-step rabbit warren, adding new little components. If there wasn't a little postmodern flavor to that.
Well, there was, it's got that little exposed
Thank you.
column,
Yeah.
and
And I don't know
got
if that's a
about-
thing worth saving or reusing, but if it's in good shape, it might be
I don't think
something to
it's-
talk about.
that's really not historic. That was added on, maybe one of the last additions. There've been a series of additions
Fair
onto the house.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
It's not 1920s postmodern.
No, it's not
Clearly not
1920s
that. That wasn't
postmodern.
going there. It's probably more recent than a lot of
It
the other
is.
things.
I think it's actually the newest part of the whole thing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
and the high windows are over beds anyway.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of, I just don't, like I said, in restoring a lot of houses in Katuitt, this one doesn't, I think, deserve it.
Was there any correspondence on this at all or anything? I don't think so.
No, there was no correspondence on this, and it doesn't look like we have any members of the public wishing to speak to this item either.
No.
I've met the neighbor across the street, and he's thrilled. Because he looks at it every day.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And we're saving a lot of the substantial trees in the front yard, and
Great.
like I said, putting the house more in the center of the property. Right now, it's really right up against the neighbor on the left-hand side.
Yeah. Did he count the number of cars that were in the driveway on weekends?
I didn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know they had a lot of people.
But it was a dozen.
They had a lot of people living there. We're actually putting in a denitrification septic system.
Oh, good
Oh,
for you.
yeah.
That's
Yes.
great.
Yeah.
That's really nice being,
Is it occupied?
No, it's not occupied.
Hasn't been for a while.
About a year, I think. Not that long. Actually, unfortunately, it was in bad shape when it was occupied, really. But it was in the Hayden family, actually. It's one of the Haydens.
Anybody want to suggest a motion?
Oh,
well, move to close the hearing if
Yep.
that's
Oh, thank you.
appropriate.
yes,
I'll second that.
aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. So we would now entertain a motion
We should go
for
back to the official
demolition
script.
or not?
Yeah,
Sorry, George, I liked your version, but the official script possibly.
that's right, there is, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well, I'm used to the Old Kings Highway where there's a partial script, and then Hyannis Main Street where we had no script at all. We didn't even have notes.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. So do we hear a motion for
So you want me
some
to do this
action?
one?
Yeah, go ahead, you have the paperwork.
So this is a motion regarding this Sullivan.
No, we did
No.
not.
DiNardo.
I don't have to read that. I can
DiNardo.
just read the motion part. Thank you. That makes it much simpler.
Read the denial.
If you flip it one more time.
Is that what I was just reading?
Sullivan Lawrence, no, it's
No.
DiNardo.
DiNardo, the next one, it's on the back.
Your pardon.
There you go.
55 Papaneset.
Maybe I was up a little too late playing with these last night. Excuse me. Regarding the Jeffrey DiNardo and Maria Apps property at 55 Pompanesett Road, Katuitt, map 035, parcel 002, built 1942. Full demolition, demolish the existing principal dwelling and
The accessory dwelling.
accessory structures.
Accessory structures, I think we can add that.
Thank you.
Fair enough. I move that after review and consideration of the public testimony, the application and associated materials, the significant building, 55 Pompanesett Road, Katuitt, is a preferably preserved significant building.
Nay.
Well, you gotta
Second.
second first, and then we nay. I mean,
Second.
Second.
Got a second?
Yeah.
All right. Can we do a group? Okay. George?
A nay.
nay.
Also nay.
Nay. So we just need to go down to the bottom one.
So,
I thought Peter was going to vote nay.
I would.
The bottom?
so I move And in accordance with Section 112-3F, the Barnstable Historical Commission determines that the full demolition of the building located at 55 Pompanesett Road, Katuitt, is not detrimental to the historical, cultural, and architectural heritage or resources of the town.
I'll second that.
All right, Jack?
Aye.
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 Aye. Now, you were adding to it, demolish the existing principal dwelling and, what were the words?
Accessory.
Accessory structures.
Okay, and you have that down?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay,
All right, thank you.
you're done.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thanks.
Make it nice.
Take your,
Oh, it's going to be nice. It's going to be very
Make
nice.
it intuitive.
Very nice.
So your keeping score is going to be 25 or 6 the next
20,
time?
26 now.
26 next time. I'm impressed.
Many years.
That's
Yeah,
great.
once in a while there, you were at every one of the meetings, weren't you?
Oh, I was, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of retired now, semi.
Yeah.
Oh, don't
How
go
do you,
too far.
what's
It's
that
hard to
like?
retire.
I like it. No more construction, just doing design and kind of picking and choosing, so.
One of these days, I've got to retire.
Need an agenda to look at the other items? Did you
Thank
need an
you.
agenda? Okay.
See you, Peter.
So, we have other items, and one of them is a very wonderful one, which is the election of a new chairperson.
Oh, I thought you were about talking about the Tracer Artifacts update.
Oh, that's not next, but that's also a wonderful one. So I will be happy to continue on as vice chairperson if you so choose, but I would love to see someone else take over the chairman position. And I mentioned it to Jack, I mentioned it to Bob. I'm sure they're both dying to do that, but
Does anyone,
Nominate Jack.
anybody want to nominate?
I was thinking about nominating you. Did I say that fast enough? I got quick draw McGraw here.
Well, you know,
I'm on the other historic commission, but I don't need
I
two.
didn't know that, actually.
I wouldn't mind being chair of this one
All right.
for the second time. I do know there was a time when I was chairman of the Hyannis Main Street Commission. It had been for a number of years, 18 in total. I was also chairman of the Old Kings Highway Historic Commission at the time. And Jessica Rob Cozzetti was voted to the town council. And she was the chair of this commission at the time.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
I was vice chair. And when it went to the commission, they said, we're going to let you continue as chair.
Lucky you.
And it wasn't so much that, it's that they didn't want me to be chairman for all 3 historic boards at one time. So,
That's a reason.
but I would like to have somebody as vice chair. Because
Nancy
there's
said
no
she-
guarantee that I would make it to every meeting. I mean,
Nancy, you
I
said you
damn
were
near
gonna
I
didn't
would
make
be
it.
willing to be vice chair. Don't have to be. Definitely don't have to be.
Did you hear that she
You'd be
she
willing
said
to
she
be
would be
vice
willing to be
chair.
vice chair, so you would
But I
have
don't
a
have
vice chair with some experiences.
Yeah, well,
So, George, just so I understand, is this temporarily until we elect new offices in June?
no,
Next
we're
month,
doing it
or-
tonight, or
or
we're doing
we
it.
would have to, we
Okay.
would have to still do our annual election in
Yeah,
June
Right.
as well, once
We'll post the
reappointments are
bands.
finished.
So in this case, we're really just talking about the chair position, and normally in June, we elect the vice
Both.
chair and the clerk and the,
Yep, we
Yeah.
usually do annual elections
and I
at
think
that
we're
point
going
in
to need
time.
a new clerk.
We could
well, I don't know.
have a temporary 1-month chair so that I won't be next month.
We can do that if that would work for everybody.
That works for me.
Can somebody nominate a certain person?
Well, who wants to nominate me for chair, temporary chair
I
for?
would be cheerfully willing to
You're going to do
nominate.
that, Bob?
I'm going to nominate George Jessup as the chair pro tem.
Pro temp,
I'll second
okay.
that.
Can I second that as the chairman?
Barbara just seconded it.
Oh. Good.
And then, all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So moved. We have a new chairman.
So come.
Can I
June-
finish saying a few things, though?
Yes, you may.
I think Barbara had a question
Yeah,
about
good.
the elections
So
of
come
officers.
June, all positions are
Open.
there.
Yes, clerk, vice chair, and chair would be. And what we normally do is we do ask for nominations to begin with, and then you can do a vote on each nomination at that point in time.
Okay.
Too bad we can't do mail-in ballots, so we absolutely get everybody.
I have one other unique feature on this board. I'm appointed to it by the town council.
No, this one is, everybody's appointed here.
Yeah.
It's Old Kings Highway.
Old Kings Highway. is
You are
voted,
appointed on Old
and
Kings
I'm
Highway,
appointed.
but the rest of the Old Kings
Through
Highway is
Diana's Main
elected.
Street.
Yeah.
They didn't like the fact that I dropped out. They wanted me to come back. But I was there for 20 years.
So,
I think I've been here longer.
yeah, I've been here for a good 25, I don't know how long I've been here.
Been here easily 20.
Yeah. Jim Gould roped me in. I was at a Boston Ballet intermission. So I have a few others to talk about. Is that okay, as the vice chairman now only? Bob Frizzi and I are going to meet with,
Liz Holbrook.
okay, Holbrook, right? Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and we're going to be talking about the artifacts. And they always say Trazer Museum artifacts. They're not artifacts that belong to the Trazer Museum. Some were, most of them were from individuals, from different villages, from other organizations. So that's one thing I like to say, artifacts that had been exhibited at Trazer Museum. You know, it's because
It's a longer
the
title.
town didn't own most of these items, but they had been there, I believe, 19 to 20 years in the upstairs of 200 Main Street with no heat and no humidity control. So we're very happy to see this finally moving along.
Liz has commented for the fact that they have been up there for 20 years, that a lot of the artifacts are still in good shape.
They are still in good shape.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Looking at the photographs and
Yeah.
and reading down quickly,
Yeah.
looking at the condition
We-
report was.
Yeah, we were
oh, good
given
for you,
their
Erica.
Yeah,
Excel
I-
sheet.
Was
I
kind of
do.
promising. Thank you for sending along the update.
Yeah.
by
Yeah,
the way,
this
I
is the
appreciate that.
updated one as well. Liz did send this to me beforehand. Just in case, Bob or Nancy, if you did have any specific questions on anything.
Clothing.
Not yet.
No, my only question was looking at the Excel spreadsheet. There's not a way to expand the photo that I discovered. You can drag the corner of it and make it bigger, but it sort of messes it up, and then you want to reverse it because you're not actually trying to change the spreadsheet. I wondered if is there any way to just like double-click a photo and have it pop out the way so many things work?
I
For
can ask
instance-
her if she's able to do that, or maybe I might be able to fiddle around with
Gotta
it
be
and
the
see
real
if I
source of the
can.
real photo. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
otherwise, when you get to the evaluating where does it go, who wants it version or layer of this, it's going to be hard for people to see what they're trying to see and evaluate it personally.
Yeah.
Because the photos are pretty small. So they remind me of thumbnails rather than the full-scale photo, and it may actually be that that's what they are.
Wow, there's a lot.
Oh, there's a tremendous amount.
More than I thought.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
well, and this is
Yeah.
not the
We had
full inventory.
estimated around
Judge,
200 to
that-
300
I have
items
pictures
at the
of
very
that.
least.
Yeah.
I remember where he was hung.
You do?
Oh, yeah, I remember a few of these too from the old museum
Yeah.
now that I
Oh,
saw
I-
some of them. And then there are other
I
things
took
that.
108 pictures of everything, so that.
And there are other things that almost never saw the light of day. They were donated or they came in with other things and got put in a box and forgotten. And
I would
that's
imagine
probably
some
part of
of
why
the,
they're still
like,
lingering.
silk or cotton items might have gotten moldier, but you're making me feel a little more positive about it.
Yeah, she said
Oh, I think
especially
she's
on
done a
some
nice
of like
job.
the small, like children's clothing and
Yeah.
whatnot, and the wedding items. One of them, she did say it was pretty moth-eaten, but she said that the embroidery for like the names and such on there, you could still make out and see.
That's really nice.
Good, good.
Yeah, I'm going to guess there'll be a number of things for which there's no obvious association for us to know in advance, which is, I mean, as in village or history or
Even if we
provenance. and-
can get it down to 80% or 70% has gone to the best possible source.
Oh, I
Hopefully
agree.
original sources.
I agree.
yeah. So then, the next thing is, you had on the listing, Katuitt Form Bs,
Yes.
because they're doing new ones, or, because I know there was a group of citizens who were doing Form Bs.
These
Yes.
are all
And-
Jim
But I
Gould
didn't think
Form
they were
Bs.
allowed to do that anymore.
Yes.
These are all Jim Gould Form Bs from 1990
But there's people doing them
1999
now
to
in the
2003 or so. I
village.
looked at all of them today.
Private
Oh, it
citizens.
is.
These ones are not updated ones.
Right.
These are ones that Phil Odence has requested.
Okay.
and gone through and I don't have any updates on them, so I wanted to make sure by the commission standards, everything still appeared to be in order for them.
There were
so
a
that
lot
we
of
can.
things I couldn't open in those links for today's
In the
houses
laser
and
page?
for that.
We did. I did notice this morning. I tried to click on some agenda items and it wasn't opening. I think we had some broken links going on the town's laser
that
page
might
site.
have
We
done
did
it.
put in a
Could you possibly send these, they're PDFs, they're not huge files. Could you send them to each of us
Yeah,
separately?
I can do that.
I would like to have them.
I did open all of them and look at them this
Yeah.
morning, and
So-
they look very familiar. I mean, they're
Yeah.
exactly the way Jim prepared them and had them typed up, and
With some probably new additions, because that's what history is. We're always learning a little
so-
closer to the truth and, you know.
there'll be two questions. There's one that might be a question from Mass Historical. When you see handwritten notes on something being submitted for recording, that might raise a little bit of a yellow flag, not a red one. But as I mentioned,
Text by flow wrap, that's neat.
yeah, as I mentioned at a previous meeting, Mass Historical has changed its requirements a bit to no longer particularly favor volunteer-produced documents of this type. And
Yeah,
they want
yeah.
paid professionals doing it, I assume for the sake of consistency in formatting and presentation and
Yet,
ingredients.
I would hope they get
It's a shame.
sent in front of a lot of the local history geeks like us,
Yeah.
just to have the local knowledge as a good filter.
Oh, I don't disagree with that, but what I'm getting at is I don't know, and you won't know without trying, what the acceptability will be of these, but I would recommend that the commission accept them and
Pass them on.
ask planning to take whatever the next step is towards
Submitting
inviting
them
Mass
to
Historical
MHC.
to accept them and get them on Macris, because otherwise they're MIA, and that's a terrible thing for all the work that Jim and some of his associates put in on these to prepare them, and I don't know.
Martin Wertinen, he did,
Well, there were some old ones, like, a lot of those have made it to Macris, I mean, and they have them as Form Bs up at Mass Historical, and even some that aren't scanned yet into Macris, they have the actual Form B form ready to scan.
Phil has about, I put on 10 for this agenda because I didn't want to overwhelm the commission, but we have about 30 in total.
Wow,
great.
So I will keep adding these to the,
that's fine.
And if you could send us those
yeah,
PDFs,
I can send the PDFs individually.
Does Phil have a sense of Mass Historical's willingness to accept them in the present state? Has he looked into that at all? I mean, he's good at putting this energy in.
I do not know offhand if he
Because it
has.
may yet to be a case of diplomatic strategy and choosing the moment to send and which ones and how many to sort of be
Yeah.
the first line of effort,
Yeah, we did send
the best outcome possible.
a set of Form Bs late last year to MHC, which they did accept.
Okay.
They did accept those. I think it was
Those were more
14.
recently formed, however, right? That had some color photography and,
I believe so, yes. Well, I actually sent the original photos to MHC so they could scan them in on their end to have better resolution.
like that, I'm sure.
And then they sent the original photos back to me so I
Great.
could put them with our files. So it would probably be the same process.
I'm not trying to be
but-
discouraging about it at all. I
No.
just want to make sure we're cautious in our
I
first
think-
effort so we get the best outcome.
I think the best way to do it would be to go ahead and push these forward and accept them, see if MHC will accept them, and if not, I can ask a reason why and a follow-up why,
you
and I
go.
can bring it back to the commission and back to Phil
Yep.
of the reasons why, if they do or if they don't accept them.
Could I move that we ask the planning department to please follow that protocol and see if these will be acceptable to MHC, and we'll adjust accordingly?
So, next thing, we only have till 5 here, right?
No, we can go a little bit longer.
But that
Oh,
needs-
let's stay till 7.
But that needs to be seconded. and
Yes,
voted on.
seconded and voted on, please.
Okay.
Sorry.
No,
Who's
thank
going to
you.
give us a second?
I'll second it. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Cool.
Next item, interesting that I got, and I asked Erica to send it to everyone else, which I guess you did, right? Of that we have been given notification of, have we been invited to? I don't know exactly. A public hearing on June 10th, which is Monday, for a piece of land that is not right now a residential area, right? It's open space, I think.
It is a subdivision. It is a definitive subdivision for Old Stage Road and Parker Road.
And I went and down Service Road. Did you go down there and looked? And it's already got a big road in it and
Yeah,
also.
looks like there's even a sewer cap or something
Yeah,
like they get
so
already.
I don't know there's anything that we are going to be adding to the.
With subdivisions per ordinance, everything does have to be forwarded to the chairs of all those boards and committees listed on the top there. And then, again, it is a public hearing, so everyone is invited to attend that hearing if you would like.
How many houses would be going in there?
Two, I think, just two, didn't it say?
Just
Well, it's
two?
really squaring away a couple of lots that otherwise may have some buildability issues. I
Yeah,
think, for
proposed lots
terrain
1 and 2.
size.
That's it? I missed that then on the correspondence.
So it is for the planning board, so you can always email Karen Pina, she is the administrative assistant for the planning board, and ask for, and on that letter that I sent you, there is a hyperlink on there to click to see all of the materials. So the application and like kind of with us, like the site plan and everything like that.
Okay.
I looked at that online and played with it a little and using the GIS system and try and see if I could learn anything about Parker Lane. And all I could conclude is that it's yet one more of the small dirt cartways or gravel cartways that used to run north-south and link the north side and the south side before Route 6 severed everything. Kind of like crooked.
There are so many, like
Crooked
Sandy
Cartway,
Street and,
Sandy
oh,
Street,
yeah.
there are a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I don't think very many people even know this one
It's
exists.
a fascinating time. It's something, once I get done with the 8 projects I'm working on now, I might start working on that
I
one.
think I wrote
Oh,
back to you, said I miss Gay Black, because she would have been totally all over this kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It was
And
just her
remember,
thing.
I have all of her maps. I have 80 tubes of historic maps, some newer, some not.
You could check out this
and
one, or the one
boxes
for this
of
place.
copies of.
You have it all indexed and on a shelf, so you can find things like that, right? I love it. Could I ask a quick question? I promise it'll be
Oh,
quick.
yeah.
The reason I'm asking it is because this leads me to think back to a couple of other emails that we received from Erica as commission members regarding other things with a long list of people to whom they were being distributed, of planning board hearings that might come up at some point regarding properties on Main Street and places like that. And I'm making the assumption, I think I looked at both of them, that they were part of the Waterfront Historic District Committee's purvey and not ours per se, but I can save it for the June workshop. But one of the things I'm going to wonder is, are there work together mutual support opportunities that we should be aware of and, be cooperative about if we can, and in matters like that, or just let well enough alone and one committee at a time deals with things anyway, and that's fine. I don't have an opinion on that or a dog in the hunt. It made me
I'm on
think
that,
about that.
I'm on that commission.
That's kind of
Have
why I'm
been-
looking over at you as I'm
I
saying
have been
that.
for years, but
Yeah.
I didn't know that there was any competition between these two.
Oh, there's not.
That,
No.
But in general, I don't think something that is within your jurisdiction would be heard by this historical
No.
commission.
No,
That's
so
part of what we do as a
With,
commission, is the stuff that all of the other committees and commissions don't do.
And there are
Barnstable
reasons why we
Historic
might want to know
defaults.
what you're doing, as also with the Christian Science Church, it became under our purview, and you certainly, being Hyannis, would want to be included in, I would.
That actually was outside of the
Side of the-
district, though, so
yeah.
it was our
Outside.
Well, that's what I'm
jurisdiction.
saying,
I see
even
your
though it's
point.
not in your
Yeah,
district,
Yeah,
sometimes it would be nice to
the
have
Historic
knowledge of it.
Commission does default to the local Historic Commission or Old Kings Highway, for example, as a historic district. So no property is reviewed twice by a Historic Commission. It's reviewed
Like that,
once.
just having the
I
knowledge
had
of what's
someone
going on.
at an informal evening gathering a few nights ago, we were talking about historic Main Street, and she said, so I was looking at the TD Bank building and I couldn't find the historic building, like quote unquote. I looked and I couldn't see it, I couldn't find it. And that was one of the ones that you had sent around to all of us that went to all of the different entities. And so I went online and Google mapped it, and I found it was really easy to find the historic building if you use different views from street view. Things stand out more clearly almost than they do from the person in the street supposed point of view, literally in person. Among other things, you can stand in the middle of Main Street without getting run over on Google Maps, and you can't do it in reality.
And this was more a view from the rear, right?
No, it's from the front, and it's from the west, from the Cape Cod Times side. You can see the two-story, flat-roofed, was it 1930 building that's brick and concrete trim with a nice cornice and the arched windows and some other pretty cool. It's not Beaux-Art because it's not that complex, but it was reminiscent of that sort of wannabe historic building. And if somebody were trying to put new stuff up, wouldn't it be nice if instead of ripping all that apart, they could play with that scenario a little stylistically?
Yeah.
But so that's just an example
Yeah,
of why
yeah.
I kind of get an itch when I see these.
Before we do public events, there's another thing that there is a memorial for Nancy Clark, our former president, which I'll give you all the information if you haven't received it, but I don't
think we did
want
receive
to
it by
invite
email.
anyone here because it's the public and
No, I
they want to
understand.
have just their family there.
I'm glad they're doing that, though.
Boy, I miss her.
In Woods Hole, huh?
Yeah, but I'll tell you more later, not publicly. Just because it's a private funeral, you know, memorial.
Yep.
So,
I do have a CPC update from
okay.
Maryland as well.
Good for her.
They had a wonderful letter of intent presented at yesterday's CPC meeting seeking $165,000 in CPA historic preservation funds to repair 270 gravestones at the Federated Church Cemetery in Hyannis.
Oh, nice.
We voted to advance the proposal to the application stage, which could return on next month's agenda if it's ready by then. It will be pursued by Fannin Lenner Preservation Consultants with decades of experience. Also, we
What's the
saw
name of the,
Fannin, Fanin, Lenner, Lehner, Preservation Consultants.
That's great.
We saw photos and heard the report of how effective our initial CPA funding at the cemetery has been, as the black wrought iron fence funded to enclose the property has eliminated vandalism and addiction on the premises, and both have been prevalent before the fence was added. Also, the Historical Society of Santuit Inktuit is seeking another $30,000 to supplement its previous CPA grant to fund restoration of their homestead's buttery, plus completion of HVAC work previously funded but now inadequate due to price increases. And this was also voted to the application stage for further consideration as early as the next meeting.
good.
That's very nice.
And Pam Brown, who was here today, is one of the people who has been working on the graves over at the Federated Church. Done a good job. Yeah, we do have a few of us in town who are trained to clean graves, and people should know that that's not something you can do unless you're a family member or have been trained and tested by the town. Lucy Loomis is one of them, and she's done the first 2 rows of stones at Lothrop Hill Cemetery.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, I should go
It's
look.
just gorgeous.
That's a
yeah,
beautiful cemetery,
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, I'm giving there's something I can do about public events, but I don't want to go ahead of.
That was the CPC update, so.
The Sturgis Library is going to have an exhibit for June, sponsored by or given by Barnstable Historical Society, and I'm putting that together. It's going to be on graveyards of Barnstable Village. Maybe we'll sneak a little West Barnstable in there, too, for a good reason, which you'll find out. But also, it's going to be a little bit about cleaning and what one can do. But it's also going to be centering on Nathaniel Holmes, who was the first major stone carver on the Cape, carved over 1,400, towards 1,500 stones. And anyway, it's exciting. We have a certificate of his for, it's like a revolutionary men's group. You know, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but we have it with his signature on it, so that's pretty cool. West Barnstable Historical Society is having a meeting on May 28th from 5 to 7 at the Tavern on the Green, which is Marston's Mills Golf Course Restaurant. It's just 5 to 7. And this meeting will be, as we have done at least once a year lately, a gathering of people telling stories. And boy, there are still people around our age who have some real history information that, you know, who knew who lived in this house, or you remember that person, or whatever. So, again, that's May 28th. And then on May 31st, I meant to bring in a brochure, and I forgot it. Steve Howland, who is a direct descendant of John Howland, is giving a lecture on the Howland family at the 1717 Meeting House. Do you have the brochure? You didn't?
No, I don't. I'm
yeah.
sorry. No,
I'll send that all
looking at the
to,
rest of
that to
this.
all of you. So I guess that's enough. Anybody else got anything?
You have an approval of minutes, is that to happen?
Actually.
Yeah, oh, yeah, go ahead.
I think the Craigville Beach Bonfire is August 10th, so Centerville Home Week is probably the week before.
Centerville's home week is the
Yeah.
week before.
Well,
And
the week.
It's usually the week leading up to that, yeah.
yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, good, thank you.
Very nice.
Anybody else? Yeah. George, no? No activities to mention? Not your birthday, don't worry.
No, no. I think you'll all be interested. Cape Cod Hospital is building a new building. It's going to eliminate the view of the harbor from the Mugar facility.
See, I'm going to cough. Sorry.
But, you know,
Well, at least they have both buildings.
yeah.
So it's a new landmark from coming in from the sea.
So we do
Yeah.
need
Looking at
to,
a practical application.
Yeah, it gets bigger and bigger, and
we do need to okay or not the minutes of the last meeting,
I move we approve them.
I second that.
yeah.
okay?
Yeah,
All
we-
in favor? Oh, is
unfortunately,
there,
I abstain. I wasn't here.
oh, okay,
Yeah,
all right, aye.
Aye.
So we get enough.
We got-
And our next meeting date?
And our next meeting date is,
No, no,
I
I
don't
can
have
go-
it
you're
on.
right, I
Tuesday,
gotta
June
get that.
18th.
Okay, our next meeting, oh, I should have remembered that. June 18th at 3 PM here is our next meeting.
Yes.
And the training?
It should
Oh,
be
At 1?
at 1. Bob did bring up the good point that we might want to extend the time just a little bit, so I might try for 12:30 to 2:30, give us a half an hour in between the meeting and whatnot to such.
Okay, You'll send the details. but
I will
we know it's
send the
same day,
details.
so.
Can you tell us, a little more about the catering and, that kind of, yeah.
The catering, did you say?
Oh, yeah, I want to know which food trucks are going to come. No,
Well, for a clam bake on the beach.
right, right.
So we will
You can have it.
entertain a motion to adjourn.
So, second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
A lot of seconds, a lot of ayes.
Aye.
Okay.
Did you say
Thank you.
June 18th is our next meeting?
Yes. I'll send you an update. I've been sending them to you as I've been updating about the week before, so I'll send it to you so I can have it on your calendar. As well, is anybody interested in that? I didn't know this was a thing until Jack mentioned that Karen does it for HHDC. I can invite you to the calendar for the meeting, and I can populate on your calendar if you'd like.
Sure.
But we have to use the same calendar you use for that to work, right, which is a Google Calendar?
Outlook.
Oh, no,
I don't need it.
no.
So
I can type it in myself.
As long as you're
We're
not
good.
offended if I don't
No.
accept, because I might have been flummoxed by the whole process. That's fine.
Yeah, we're
we
all
did.
set,
We
Sarah.
did.
Thank you.